Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the She Compass Show, the show that helps you navigate your life. Today, I'm so excited. I have my guest here with me, Pam Ortega, which is a breast cancer warrior. And how wonderful is that? October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we have Pam with us today. How are you today, Pam?
I am doing very well, thank you.
Wonderful. I'm hoping today that we can shed some light on some things that may be able to help other women out there who are going through the same struggles and not knowing what to do. And you have went through this, you can tell us some things about yourself.
Yes, so I went in for my routine mammogram like I do every year.
Yes.
My doctor recommended it. My insurance covered it. I went in every year, very healthy. And I went in last October and they said, come back in. We think we found something. And so they did indeed find something. We can get into more of that story later, but I was only 48 when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Which is considered young, and I'm married and I have 2 children. And it came as a huge shock to our family. A shock, but we weren't completely afraid because I thought we're just going to tackle this head on.
Wow. So you are definitely a warrior. That was your first thoughts about it?
Yes, because as a mother and as a wife, I think it's different. I did not want to break down. I wanted to be as strong as possible for my family because I thought I needed a really good support system from them. So I thought, let's just get through this so that when I did have my meltdowns and I did get sad and I did, get upset, I thought in the beginning, let's just try to be as strong as possible. So I listened to my medical team. I did everything they told me to do. And we just took it 1 week at a time. I don't say one step at a time because if you think of that, it becomes overwhelming.
Wow.
So we did it 1 step at a time, and we try to get a good support group around us. I told not that many people. We kept it pretty tight just with my core family and friends so I could have a good support system, because the one thing with breast cancer is you don't have control over anything. So the only thing you have control over is how you process it and how you let people in, I think is the best way.
It seems to me that you were a warrior from the very beginning, though. Because getting that kind of news for some people can just really be a total meltdown.
Yeah.
So
I did cry initially. It was almost like many stages of grief.
Yes.
Kind of go through fear, denial, depression, sadness, whatever the order is. I think it's a lot of it has to do with shock in the beginning, but I am the type of person, and I've learned this through talking with a lot of my doctors and nurses, that how you go through diagnosis and treatment has a lot to do how you were before diagnosis and treatment.
Wow.
So I was a strong person, I think, beforehand, and this just made me stronger. I know that sounds kind of weird and cliche, but it definitely made me a stronger person.
No, it definitely doesn't. Like I always tell people, sometimes your life journey and what you go through makes you stronger. And it does, it sounds like that to people, but when you've really lived through something, and every day in the kind of work that I do, I see women going through this challenge and they all go through it differently. Yeah. And you are definitely such a huge part of you being that big warrior and taking, I always say you need a lot of ammunition. Yeah. And you're using people that you love as your backup, but all this ammunition you need to take into this journey is really, really tough.
I agree completely, and I think it has a lot to do with how you approach any problem. And yes. The bigger the problem, the more ammunition and armor that you need.
Yes.
So I did not exclude any type of recommendations or medications, that I had to do. Door's opening. And
okay.
So I listened to my medical team, my doctors, my nurses, my therapists. I also would ask a couple other people, what else did you use? So I sought out aid with like different types of Eastern medicine to supplement the Western medicine, because I thought, well, if it's not going to hurt me, I might as well try it. And so I kept trying things to help me become a better healer throughout the process. I did a lot of meditation. I did some yoga. I listened to calm music. I kept a journal.
Wow.
as
You
much
are,
as I could, and
yeah,
if it wasn't helping me, I didn't do it.
you're
I put some,
amazing.
oh gosh,
No, you
didn't
are. You're definitely an amazing woman. Because even, like I said, every day I speak to different women about what they're going through. And some people just break down so mentally in the beginning, they don't even have the strength to be there for their own selves.
that is so true. And I found it to be, I'd say 85% of going through something traumatic, where it be an illness, something happened to you financially, emotionally, with your family. Um, I think you have to be strong. And if
Yes.
you're weak, I think it just doesn't let your body heal. And one person told me mind follows body, body follows spirit. If you mentally are not ready to go and be in a good spiritual place, your
Yes.
body will not listen to you. It will not follow. And I met a lot of women toward the end of my treatment. They were older than I was, so it kind of would alarm. If you're under 50, it's considered young. And right when I would meet them, I could tell they had given up before the doctors were even done with their treatment. And you could just tell, and you could tell they weren't going to get better. So I think a lot of times it has to do with your mental state. Yes, I completely would have meltdowns and cry. Every once and again, the doctor would tell you something, and you need to kind of let yourself experience that. It's very cathartic. You need to let it out. You can't be the perfect wife, mother, cancer patient
All at one time, a
all at once.
superwoman, right? But it seems to me you pretty much put that to the test, because here's something very interesting. You call yourself a breast cancer warrior. A lot of people say survivor.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the difference and
For
why we use breast cancer warrior versus
Well,
survivor for
survivor
you, your personal
for
opinion?
me, survivor, everyone's a survivor. Everyone's a survivor of something. You could say
Right,
I'm a mental illness survivor.
right,
I'm a mother of 6 children survivor. I
right. Oh, we froze.
think it has a little bit of a negative connotation to me. So if people say I'm a 5-year survivor, it makes it kind of sound like it's still compartmentalized. I like warrior because it means you're never done fighting.
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
You're
Yeah.
never done fighting, and it's almost like a proactive approach. I want to
Yes.
survive it. I want to
Yes.
be a warrior for it.
Yes.
So
Most definitely. Do you find that being a warrior and knowing that can you please tell us a little bit about the type of cancer that you had?
yes. So when I was diagnosed, it was breast cancer 2A, and 2 just pertains to this kind of the size, and A depends on like where it is in your body.
Yes.
Um, the cancer cell itself, there's many factors the doctor uses to determine the type of cancer you had. So mine had 2 positive, 2 proteins were positive. One, it's called HER2 positive, which is very common in women, and
Yes.
positive. So that affects the type of medication and treatment you have. So I had surgery first. I was diagnosed in November. I had surgery in December very quickly first, just a lumpectomy because it was tiny. Another reason why women should get their mammograms.
Yes.
And after they took it out, they determined the course of chemo. So I had 5 months of chemotherapy so they could get those drugs into me to kill the cancer cells that may remain and also prevent them from forming. So I had 4 different types of medication, and my hair did fall out. I got a lot of side effects. The type of breast cancer I had is very common, and because it's common, they're developing new treatments for it.
Yes.
But it's also very aggressive. So you have to battle it head on. So I never question the doctors. Some women do different types of treatment, different orders of treatment. Mine was surgery, chemotherapy, and then I did about 8 weeks of radiation to the targeted area because
Wow.
double mastectomy. I had a lot of tissue left.
How'd
So
you how'd you do with that?
I did pretty well. I thought I was doing okay, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, you're doing so great." And it wasn't until the end of my treatment where I saw what could have gone wrong, and I met a lot of women where things did go wrong, unfortunately. So I had a good support system for chemotherapy. I told my husband and 2 kids that I said, I got this. Like, I know how to take care of myself. And when I need help, I'll ask you. And I got some side effects, not a lot. Radiation, I did fine. I did fine. I was expecting what you see in the movies. And my doctors always told me two things. One, never look anything up online. And two, don't compare anything to what you see in the media. Because a lot of times women don't share their whole story. So you don't know what they go through.
Yes, exactly. I always say going through that is like DNA. It's different for every woman. Everybody's going to go through it different. Everyone's going to have a different experience. And sometimes when you look up too much information, it really breaks you down.
It gets overwhelmed.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming, and
it makes you upset. Every time I would look up how to deal with a side effect or treatment, my doctor friendly said, you cannot go. She said, just stop looking. We will take care of you. And once I started doing that and kind of gave into it, I said, oh, she's right. I should just kind of not go online and look what people are posting, because even if there's a woman diagnosed with exactly the type of cancer I had, she will go through it completely differently. Every person's completely different. And the side effects I'll have, for a long time or a short amount of time may not happen to somebody else. So I'm still on medication. I take a medication for 5 years now to control the one aspect of the cancer cell, the estrogen. And then I still am on medication till January. So a whole year. You have a whole year of medicine. It's still a form of chemotherapy, but it's medicine you take through an IV to help prevent those cancer cells from forming again.
Wow. Your story is amazing. You're such a powerful woman. I'm just looking at you and thinking how gorgeous you are. And even your hair being short is so pretty. It fits you.
Let vanity go out the window.
Well, you're beautiful. You're just naturally beautiful. So who worries about that kinds of stuff when you're going through that? But it sounds like you had a wonderful support system in your children and your husband and the people around you. So I want to ask you, how important is that going through something like this?
I think a support system is probably the most important thing. Even if you are a type of woman or a man who is very private and you don't like to ask for help, you still need to set it up to have it in place. So then when that time comes up, say, you know what, I need your help. Can you come over? Because that is what your friends and family want to do for you.
Yes.
I don't think you can heal or go through anything in life unless you let your family and friends know how much you need them or when you need them.
Yes.
So my neighbors set to bring me a meal train to bring me food, but I didn't tell every single girlfriend I knew, and I didn't tell everybody at my children's school. We kept it kind of quiet, and they were very good about that. My husband said, just let me know when you need me. And so he'd bring me stuff in the middle of the night. Went to my doctor's appointments. But if you're a very private person, I think you still need to have a very small support group. If you're a very public person and you want 300 people to know and that makes you feel good, then go ahead and do it. My doctors told me whatever makes you feel good. So if you don't want to talk to anyone, or if you want to have 5 people over at your house and sit with you and watch movies, you do whatever makes you feel good. So for me, to keep it as kind of as private as possible was important. And my 2 children, I have twins. They were seniors in high school at the time. So they're very self-sufficient. But I kept checking in on them and saying, are you guys okay? And they said, we're okay if you're okay, Mom. So they did really well.
Wonderful. So that's a big part of it. That's a huge part of it, is that support system. Because there are a lot of very private people that just kind of say, well, I don't want anybody to know. Yeah, but that when you need someone, right? You really need.
And even if they don't have a friend or family members.
Yes.
The hospital I went to, and I'm sure any other hospital across the country, they have wonderful support groups. Even like support people. If you don't want to join a support group, you just want to go in once a week and talk to one person. They have a tremendous amount of support now for breast cancer programs, because I think what they've realized is you have to treat the whole person. You don't just treat the cancer. You have to treat
yes.
the person, so the whole person can heal.
That's right. And then that way you can come up with this beautiful circle of your friends and your family to embrace every aspect you may have. And then there are moments when you're having a different kind of moment, right? Where you need your friends, and then you don't need your husband, or you need your husband, or you need your children. So you had that great big warrior circle all fighting for you. And that's why you're so strong, and you're here talking to us, and you're telling us what needs to be done from your point of view, which is going to be helpful to so many people. So many people, because so many people, and I know this personally, get lost in the pain of it all. And that's what you're talking about.
I did that once, where you spiral down out of control.
Yes.
That does not make me feel good at all. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not me at all. It just doesn't make me feel better. So I think even if you just have a plan in place, and if the plan blows up, that's fine. But be open and willing to ask for help, even your doctor, just to call your doctor and say, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
Then I think later on, as you are in remission, and as the years go by, I think those people are still going to be there for you.
That's right.
I think some people sometimes think, well, I'm cured, I don't need to get together for coffee. They're always going to be there for you. And it makes your relationships stronger. I also had 2 very good friends who were men who were also pastors, and I worked with both of them a while ago. And when I found out, they said, "Can we come pray over you at the hospital?" And I said, "Oh, sure, you can pray for me." And they said, "No, we want to pray with you at the hospital." So they made time in their schedule the day I went for surgery, and they drove over an hour each.
Wow.
They came, they prayed over me, and they left. And it was just like, who does that? You know what I mean? And it was not something I sought out. So sometimes I think women, you need to kind of open it up. You might have somebody at your grocery store that you see all the time. I told the checker when I went in to get groceries and I had a scarf on, he said, "Why do you have a scarf on?" I told him, and he broke down and cried and said, "Oh my gosh, let me give you recipes." So having a good support system is good if you're a private or a public person, I don't think you could get through it.
How do you feel about the spiritual part of it? Was that a big part for you? Are you a religious person?
I'm a religious person. I was born and raised. Our family goes to church every Sunday.
Yes.
When I found out, I notified the priest at our parish. My children are very involved in our church, so they immediately started praying for me in a prayer group within their ministry. I also attended a Catholic university, and I contacted a couple of my friends. It snowballed from there. I had friends of my in-laws sending me cards saying they were having prayers said for me over in France. And then I had somebody else who gave me holy water and said that was blessed by the Pope, and said, you need to, put this on your wound. And it just made my faith stronger.
Yes.
And it was amazing, all these moments during my treatment that people said, well, that was like an angel, meaning like it was very bizarre. And then it ended up not being bizarre. I said, well, there was a reason that happened. So I just stayed. It doesn't mean you have to go all over and change how you practice anything, but I just kept praying every day.
Yes.
Try to be centered as possible. And it was amazing. Like, people would send me cards. I'm like, oh my gosh, from like a long time ago. And they said, I heard about your treatment. I'm going to pray for you every day, and I'm going to go on this trip. It was a very important part of my healing. It also allows a place for you to be completely vulnerable.
Yes.
You want to be really angry, really sad, or really funny that you might think is inappropriate at the time. You don't want to tell anybody if something happens to you.
Yeah.
I would just pray and talk to God, and then I would just always feel better.
And that's beautiful, because that's such a big part of my life. I believe that, anything you do, I don't care what it is, that higher power, the Lord, is, if he's not looking out for you and you don't have that connection, I usually don't understand it with people who say that, they don't have that. But what I notice is when people really get to this point, I had a woman in the salon, and I was talking to her about it, and she was going through it. And when I started praying for her, she said that she was atheist and that she had never had anybody. And she said, it's okay though, you can pray for me, because if that's what you believe, but I just want you to know what I believe. But a couple of months later down the line, she came back in and she gave me a big hug, and she said, thank you so much for your prayers. And she said, I think that at this point in my life, I believe that there is a God. Because once you go through something like that, you do figure out that you need him.
Yes.
Yeah, you need him in your life.
Important. And I think a lot of women, I think when they go through this and they come out the other side, if they're not changed in their relationship with whatever faith you have,
Something
I would be
changes.
very surprised. I'd be very surprised unless they give up. You can
Yeah.
tell a lot of people where they've just given up.
Well, you've seen a lot of that, right? You've seen a lot of people just kind of give up. Are there any encouraging words that you can say to somebody out there who might be in that position right now where they're just giving up because you're so full of life? You're very, I've spoken to you before. You have a wonderful personality, a great sense of humor. Is there anything that you might be able to say to someone like that who just feels like they're at the end of the road?
I would say it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. There is no one you
Yes.
need to compare yourself to at all. If you want to be complete, whatever way you're experiencing that day, that emotion, if a doctor called and told you to test and come back right, whatever way you feel, it is okay. I think a lot of times as women, we're supposed to be really strong and put together and like it. I let my children see me at my very worst. And so I
Yeah.
think experience whatever emotion you want to experience, seek help where you want to seek help. And if someone says, I know this really good person who does this, go see that person. And if you think this doesn't feel right for me, then don't do it.
Don't
I
do
would
it.
also say, ask your doctors any question you have. It doesn't matter how small it is.
Yes.
And then if something's not working for you, go back and ask them again. I did pray, a lot of walking and exercise, meaning you get out, get some fresh air. So if you're feeling hopeless, go outside, join a support group. And I did have a lot of humor. I had one girlfriend who I told her when I was feeling sad, I said, you have to send me some obnoxious joke. And so she would send me funny jokes, or every once in a while to make my family laugh if something small wasn't being done. I said, can we really, get this fixed and, in the house, or can you help me with this? And the kids are saying, I don't have time. And I'd say, well, I have cancer. And they'd say, Mom, you can't say that. I said, oh, yes, I can. So you kind of have to have some.
You have to have a sense of humor, right? To
humor.
get through it.
The other thing was the hospital I was with. And
Yes.
I know the American Cancer Society, I think, has a program where they address the appearance of women during breast cancer.
Oh, yeah. There you
So
go.
I had a wonderful woman through the hospital where I went. Her job is to help show you how to wear scarves, wigs, how your hair is going to grow in, how it's going to fall out, how to put your makeup on. And knowing that, it made me feel so much more confident if I went to the grocery store and I had a wig on or a scarf on and no one would even say anything to me. I wore a wig most of my children's events for their last year of high school. And because I had such good energy, and I think because I had such a good spirit, nobody could tell. After I told them 10 months later, and they said, we could have never noticed.
Yes.
So I think humor has a lot to do with it, and could just kind of taking it 1 week at a time, and don't get overwhelmed. I mean, you don't get too overwhelmed. You'll get overwhelmed enough when you go in for procedures, and when they put you and they scan you, you can get overwhelmed and sad.
How did you do through your chemo?
So through chemo, I had 6 treatments.
Yes.
And I had girlfriends fighting to come sit with me. And that's another thing is sometimes I told my husband, I really don't want a lot. And he said, you know what? You just, whatever you want to do, let's just figure it out. So the first treatment, my husband was with me. And then every treatment after that, I either had a family member or a girlfriend. And it was interesting because each of them processed it differently. And it was kind of nice to see from a different point of view. I had one girlfriend who was very quiet. And she sat with me and brought me food. And she, brought magazines. I have another one that talked the entire time. I had my brother and sister-in-law come, and we just talked about family stuff. They said, do you want to watch a movie? Do you want to talk? What do you want to do? And they were very respectful of how I went through the process. And toward the end of my treatments, I got very comfortable with the actual procedure and what the nurses were doing and poking me and all the medicine. But I forgot every time someone would come in and sit with me, they weren't used to it. So I'd kind of have to explain it again. And they were just amazed at how strong I was and how well I took the treatment. I learned to manage my side effects with the wonderful nurse, that's what I call them, at my hospital. Because I'd say, I have horrible indigestion, but I'm not throwing up. Aren't I supposed to be throwing up? And she's like, no, You're not, girl. She's like, let me tell you what to take. So my hair eventually started falling out. So I went to my stylist and she shaved it. I think it's kind of more liberating than.
Really cute. I love
Okay,
it.
it was so short. And the weird thing is, I had long hair in November. I cut 8 inches off in December before I went through treatment because I didn't want to be totally traumatized. And I got so many compliments on it. And I didn't even explain to them, well, this is why I cut it. And so even now that my wig is off and it's growing in, I get a lot of compliments, and all my girlfriends and neighbors are like, oh my gosh, I love your hair short. I think it has to also do with how you are on the inside, because I still see a lot of women who are wearing wigs and their hair's like clearly long enough where they don't have to. And they just, you could tell inside say, well, I feel like I'm broken. Like, I don't want it. I want how I was exactly before.
Yeah.
And I said, you're not going to be like how you were exactly before. You're completely changed.
Yeah. In so many ways. So I think that doing your journey with this, you've actually taught people something so important. Each individual person learns so much from you about probably put their life in perspective, because when you're in touch with your mortality that much, and like I say, I see this every day, you're teaching other people something too, something very valuable and something very important. Watching you go through your story.
It wakes people up is what I think it is.
Oh yeah.
It wakes them up. A lot of my girlfriends had not gotten a mammogram like in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They told their mothers and aunts who had never had one, ever had a mammogram.
Yes.
When little things would come up, we moved our 2 kids into college across the country.
Wow.
And they said, how did you do that? And I said, you know what? I just focused on what was important, and everything else, I just kind of let it go. And I tell people, had I not gone through all this treatment with cancer, I would have been I know I'd be a completely different person now. I think I would be worried about more things, and I would be a lot of things I don't worry about anymore.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend would be the same way. I said, let's go to the mall. And she's like, well, I don't look good. I said, please, no one cares. I go, let's just go.
Who cares? How many billion people on the planet? No one's really focused in how you look. It puts it right
in perspective.
It does.
You have to what you eat. And I had enough people telling me why they thought I had cancer. I had strangers telling me, oh, you must have a gene in your family. Well, I don't. I got tested. I don't have the gene. No one in my family's had breast cancer, ovarian cancer. I worked out. I ate really healthy. I did everything you're supposed to do. And when I got diagnosed, my friends and family who know me, that is what scared them. It scared them more than it scared me, I think.
See, because yes.
If it happened to Pam, what about the rest of us? And you kind of learn to be like, well, you can't worry about everything. You can't worry about everything. You only can worry about getting well and taking care of yourself. And for the first time, you have to put yourself first, which a lot of women don't do.
Yes. Being a mother and a wife and all of the different things that we take care of as women. And this is what I preach to my women now. And I tell them, you need to put yourself first. You need to put everything else to the side. And now it's time for the people that you've taken care of all your life to take care of you. And that's such a hard transition for women, to do. And like you said, I see so many people, it just weakens them, and they still want to try to be everything to everybody and do everything for everybody. And I tell them, you can't.
Yeah. I still would get up. Well, of course, you're supposed to get up and move around during chemo, but
yes.
One day, and I was doing laundry, and they're like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I can't still. It's still part of who I am to take care of others, but you really learn to take care of yourself first.
Yes.
And I think that has a lot to do with also with your treatment, and then how women, especially like now, I have to exercise a lot to keep the side effects of the pill I'm taking in check. And I feel great. And they said, well, you look great. I said, well, I'm exercising a lot. I said, but I don't want to. I said, but I do it because my doctor told me to. And I said, it makes me feel good. And most women I talk to are like, I have no time. I have no time. I work. I don't have time. And I said, you need to take care of yourself. You need to do something for yourself. And it doesn't mean, the one thing I learned is it doesn't mean I told my husband, so do I need to like make a weekend every year with my girlfriends for the rest of my life to celebrate that I'm cancer free? He's like, no, if you don't want to. I said, I don't want to run in a race. I don't want to wear a pink ribbon. I don't want to, I said, and I felt bad. And I told my nurse, I said, I feel bad. Aren't I supposed to do that? She's like, you can do whatever you want. She's like, you can handle it any way you want.
That's right.
And I think that message applies to everything in life. And you don't realize that until you go through something. It applies to work, your family.
Exactly.
You have to kind of, and I'm not talking, well, you know, I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm just talking about taking care of yourself.
Well, you know, I could kind of elaborate on that a little bit and say sometimes you have to be a little bit selfish.
Oh, yeah.
And if that looks selfish to other people, you taking care of yourself, and so, oh well, sometime too bad, right? Because like I said, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we only get 1 month, but women go through this all year. You know, every day there's somebody being diagnosed with cancer. So it's a celebration of 1 month. No, we acknowledge that every day, right? And that's going to be an everyday part of your life that you acknowledge that, and you have to learn how to take care of yourself. And sometimes the horrible thing about life is some of the bad things that happen to us yield the best of us when it manifests. It just yields the best of us, right?
Yes, it makes you realize, it makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And I said this before, everyone says, oh my gosh, you handled this so well. And I said, well, I kind of have to be strong. And my doctor and nurse said, no, a lot of people don't. A lot of people just give up. That you don't have to do it. And I said, well, I had to do it because I wanted to get well and I wanted to get through it because you have enough information and people telling you. I had someone say, so when is it going to come back? Like, what do you mean? I said, it's not coming back, you know, but for them, because that's what they read, they said, well, everyone gets it and it comes back. So I think a lot of it has to do with just taking care of yourself.
Yes.
And because if you aren't well, just like any kind of, if you're a mother and if you are not well, you can't take care of your family, you can't take care of your children. A husband's the same way. I mean, anybody's like that.
Well,
you have to take
yeah. Yeah, that's a lifetime commitment. You know, you don't just, I've been around women who've been cancer free for 30 years. And they said the same thing. People always ask them, are you scared it's going to come back? Well, you know, I always tell people one day we're going to leave here from something, all of us, right? So we just have to be strong and whatever it is and take care of ourselves the best we can. And what I notice is when someone's been through an experience like you and you're such a warrior for this and you fight through it every day, you have your ammunition every day.
Yeah, every day there's something that reminds me. I have like, because your body, your organs, your hair, your skin, your nails, your eyes, everything goes through a change when you have a type of chemotherapy drug that kills your good cells, unfortunately, and all the bad cells. So every day there's a little reminder. If I want to go do something, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't do that. But you kind of just work through it. You're like, well, that's minor.
You just do it.
You just do it. You just get through it. You try not to get overwhelmed, but there are some days when I would get really overwhelmed. I would just write everything down. I have 3 different journals. I probably won't open any of them ever again. I had one that each had a different purpose during my treatment that I kind of just wrote all my thoughts in. One was more about, one was kind of chronological, and then one was a little more spiritual.
Wow.
And I just kind of did that, and I thought, oh, I have to keep one of them up. And my girlfriend said, no, you don't. She's like, who says you need to? I said, well, I'm almost free, like getting all my checks. I should be grateful. I should be journaling every day. She's like, why? If you don't, because if you don't feel it's necessary. So it kind of still lingers on with you. I go in next month for my 1-year checkup mammogram to make sure everything's gone. And they got it all and see what it looks like. And then after that, I don't know what the plan is with my doctor. They don't like to tell you a lot up front. They like to take it like in steps. So I said, well, what after that? And she said, well, let's just wait. Let's just see, make sure it's all good. And I know it's going to be fine. So,
yes. Well, you know, that's what we all pray for. And I'm definitely going to be praying for you that it's all fine. And I believe in my heart of hearts that it's all fine. You're such a Your story is it's amazing, and the position that you're in the way you, what I see is the way you have taken it all in, and the way that you have moved yourself through it step by step. You're a hero, shero to all of us, for real. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So we had a wonderful time here today. Pam, is there anything else you'd like to tell the women or men or somebody who might be going through this right now before we sign out?
That not to compare yourself to anybody else, because everybody's different, and to trust your medical team, ask questions, and let yourself experience any emotion that you want to. And when you get your support group, have your girlfriends that make you laugh. Have your girlfriend that goes with you to get your hair cut. Have your family member that you never really talk to that wants to mail you something. Let people help you and let them in to what you feel comfortable with. And you will get through it. Don't look too far down the tunnel. That's what my dad always says. He goes, just take steps as you get towards the finish line. I guess that's what I'd say. And try to have fun. Watch a lot of comedy. Watch a lot of comedy.
Stay laughing, right? Because you're jovial and you're wonderful and you're great. And I like to just say, I think it's amazing. You look beautiful with what you've done with your hair. I don't know how your hair looked before, but you are one snazzy lady. You look beautiful.
I'm surprised when it was growing in. You know everything about hair.
Yeah.
It was so gray underneath. And what's you gonna dye it? I said, girl, I just got hair. I'm not gonna dye this. I said, I'm just gonna leave it alone. I don't think I'm gonna touch it ever again, because they tell you another thing. People come up and they tell you about their sister's story, their mom's story. Why don't you do this with your hair, that with your hair?
Oh God, yeah.
So I just let it. I didn't buy any. I just let it grow.
And and it looks amazing on you.
Easy to handle. I have to say.
What's that? Easy to handle, huh? Yes, and it looks absolutely amazing. I love it. So once again, you are listening to the She Compass Show, the show that helps you navigate your life. Today, Pam Ortega is an amazing warrior. She's done some amazing things. She is helping people understand what it is to go through having cancer, breast cancer. And you're amazing. I really, you're our She-Roy for sure. So once again, on social media, Instagram, we're at SheCompass and .com, and at Twitter, we're at SheCompass, and on Facebook, we are at SheCompass. At SheCompass She-Compass. Oh boy. I'm going to get it right one day all the way, but there we go. And then of course, shecompass@gmail.com. Thank you so much for being with us today, Pam. You're an amazing woman.